Not long ago, collecting warm eggs from straw-filled nests was as normal as hanging laundry outside, but today nearly every egg on your breakfast table travels from a factory, not a backyard. The industry calls their products free-range and pasture-raised, but what if those labels hide a truth? Big Egg does not want you to know. The consequences have shaped our diets, our land, and even our laws. So why did the old way vanish, and is it possible to get it back? Every morning began with the sound of hens calling from wooden coops tucked behind the house. Grandparents built these shelters by hand using scrap lumber and hammered nails, lining the nesting boxes with fresh straw. The smell of earth and hay filled the air as children, still in their pajamas, carried metal pails out to gather eggs laid overnight. Some days the eggs were still warm to the touch. Elders checked the corners for hidden nests, careful not to miss a single egg, while younger kids scattered handfuls of grain and scraps from last night's dinner out onto the dirt. Hens darted after beetles and worms, scratching through compost and garden beds, their sharp eyes searching for anything edible. Manual chores set the rhythm of daily life. Collecting eggs happened at least once, sometimes twice a day, never left too long, or a broody hen might claim them for herself. In the evenings, families called the flock home, shooing stragglers into the coop before latching the door against foxes and raccoons. Grandparents patched holes in the fence, replaced straw, and swept out the roosts, teaching the next generation to care for animals and watch for signs of illness or predators. During the Great Depression and both World Wars, these routines meant survival. Even when money was tight and stores ran empty, the family flock provided a steady supply of eggs and, when needed, a chicken for Sunday dinner. Ration books and war posters urged families to keep hens for victory, and many remembered selling extra eggs at the local market or trading them for milk and flour. These chores were not just about food. They built resilience, passed down skills, and kept the household connected to the land. Each egg collected by hand was a promise that no matter what happened beyond the farm gate, there would always be something to eat. A hen's real diet starts with what she finds on the ground, not just what comes from a feed sack. Out on true pasture, chickens chase grasshoppers, dig for beetle larvae, and tug at blades of clover. They scratch through fallen leaves and compost piles, snapping up worms and any bug unlucky enough to cross their path. This is the behavior of an omnivore, not a vegetarian. Grandparents knew that kitchen scraps, bits of meat, peelings, and leftover bread rounded out what hens found outside. A balanced flock diet meant richer yolks, firmer whites, and hardier birds. Industrial farms flipped this formula. Today, most eggs come from hens on a steady ration of ground corn, soy, and vitamin packets. The feed is engineered for maximum output, but it misses the wild protein and micronutrients that come from living pasture. When consumers started asking for darker yolks, industry found a shortcut: marigold and paprika powder mixed into the feed. Those colorants deepen the yolk shade, but they do not add nutrition. A bright orange yolk can be manufactured even if the hen never saw a blade of grass or a single bug. Egg cartons now promise everything from cage-free to pasture-raised. The reality sits on a sliding scale. At the bottom, caged hens live in wire boxes with no room to turn around. Cage-free usually means a warehouse, thousands of birds packed together, never seeing daylight. Free-range often offers a door to a dirt lot, but the ground is usually bare and scratched clean. Pasture-raised on a label might mean a barn with a fenced yard, or it might mean true rotation across green fields. The only way to know is by asking for specifics. Ask the right questions. How much space does each hen get? Is there living grass? Do the hens move to fresh ground every week? Are bugs and seeds part of their daily diet? A real pasture egg comes from a flock that rotates across lush grass, with at least 100 square feet per bird, and spends daylight hours hunting and pecking. Anything less is just marketing dressed up in farm language. On the Delmarva Peninsula in the 1930s, a handful of chicken farmers began to change the math of egg production. What once took more than 6 pounds of feed for every dozen eggs dropped to under 2 pounds. Breeds were selected for output, not personality, and every calorie was measured. By the 1960s, factory barns across the Midwest and East Coast housed tens of thousands of hens, their diets precisely formulated and their laying cycles controlled by artificial light. The logic was simple: more eggs per pound of feed, less waste, and fewer hands needed for daily chores. Emphasize efficiency. Vertical integration soon followed. Companies came to own the hatcheries, the feed mills, the transport trucks, and even the contracts with grocery chains. Eggs laid in Iowa could be washed, packed, and shipped to New York City within days, all under a single corporate banner. This scale demanded a new kind of uniformity: eggs of the same size, weight, and shell color, each stamped with a grade and a date. Emphasize uniformity. The key to this system was washing. Industrial scrubbers blasted eggs clean, stripping away the cuticle, a thin invisible coating laid down by the hen. Without that natural barrier, eggs lost their ancient protection against bacteria and moisture loss. Refrigeration became mandatory, not because the egg itself had changed, but because the shell no longer carried its protective coating. In 2010, the FDA made it official all commercial eggs from flocks over 3,000 hens had to be washed and chilled to 45 degrees Fahrenheit within 36 hours of lay. Emphasize washing. Big Egg did not just build bigger barns, it also lobbied for rules that locked these methods in as the new standard. Washing and refrigeration requirements made sense for centralized factories, but they raised the bar for small producers and backyard sellers. Compliance meant expensive equipment and cold storage, costs that only large-scale operations could easily afford. Emphasize cost. The result was a system where efficiency and policy reinforced each other, making the factory egg not just the cheapest, but in many places, the only legal option. That combination of scale, regulation, and industry lobbying reshaped how eggs are produced and who can afford to sell them. A real egg test starts in the kitchen, not in the marketing aisle. Crack open a store. Bought egg beside one from a local pasture flock. Look at the yolk. Does it stand tall and rounded, or does it flatten and spread? A fresh, nutrient-rich yolk keeps its shape and bounces lightly in the palm, its membrane thick and elastic enough to roll between your fingers without breaking. The albumin, or egg white, should surround the yolk in a tight, high ring, not run thin across the plate. These are signs of a hen that spent her days foraging, not just eating pellets in a barn. Real eggs behave differently. Turn the carton over and read the back. Find the farm address, the state license number, or a producer code. Real pasture eggs come from farms that are not afraid to be found. If the label only lists a distributor or a distant corporate address, the eggs likely traveled hundreds of miles and passed through a factory-scale operation. State agriculture departments keep searchable license databases. Enter the code and see if the farm actually exists or if it is just a brand name hiding a warehouse. Look for traceable information. Watch for buzzwords on the front. Vegetarian fed. Farm fresh? Ask natural. None of these words mean pasture, and none guarantee a hen ever saw daylight. Even pasture-raised can be stretched thin. Unless the farm rotates flocks on living grass, provides at least 100 square feet per bird, and shows visible green forage, the claim is often just packaging. Real pasture systems rotate flocks across fresh grass. They do not let thousands of hens trash one dirt lot. Check the details, not just the label. This is about claim versus reality. The simplest test is in the pan. A true pasture egg fries up with a yolk that holds its shape, a white that stays close, and a flavor that tastes like spring grass and sunlight. Anyone can check, no special tools, just a plate and a little curiosity. The power to choose better eggs is in your hands every time you crack a shell or read a label. Make your next choice and inform one. Power is with the buyer. Right now, over 95% of US eggs come from industrial systems, yet every true pasture-raised egg quietly resists that norm. As labels blur the line between real and imitation, only informed choices keep the old ways alive. The next egg you crack can still shape what is normal tomorrow.